Welcome back to the Cal Park Bros podcast. Jason and I are fresh off the fast casual fast food discussion. Um, Segment three, we're going to be talking about most valuable players on losing squads. Jason, the article you sent me, this is from Washington Post. Um, the last time MLB, the Major League Baseball, had MVPs that missed the playoffs was 1987. And they're saying that it could happen this year again. And the reason this came up is, of course, because Showtime um, won an MVP, right?
Correct. Shohei Ohtani won the AL MVP and Bryce Harper in the National League. Shohei Ohtani played for the Angels, and Mr. Harper played with the Phillies, and both teams did not make the playoffs.
And so what I'm seeing is that basically a lot of people are wondering, can you really be the most valuable player if your team is not successful?
So for decades, I've been saying this is that the award is most valuable player, and obviously this came up because of baseball, but we can frame this in every other sport: baseball, basketball, football, hockey. Um, is that the award is most valuable player? The key term in there for me is valuable. Excuse me. And I've always stated that how valuable can you be to a team that had a losing record? Because they had a losing record with you there, and they likely would have had a losing record without you there as well. So how valuable can you be? Losing record with, losing record without, as opposed to somebody who's there and they're had that great success because of you, and they wouldn't have had it if you weren't there. So case in point, obviously Michael Jordan, obviously. Um, but yeah, so that's always been my stance. But still, it definitely happened in baseball more than any other sport. Just a point of reference here, uh, just based off what I could find, via the Google, is that it's only happened once in the NBA where the MVP came from a losing team. And that was back in 1976 with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Lakers missed the playoffs. They had a losing record. And then twice in hockey. Uh, I wasn't able to find any information about it happening in the NFL, so I'm going to assume that it hasn't. Um, but yeah, but definitely, as you can tell, it happens a lot more in baseball. What's happening more times in baseball than it has the other two sports. So, but that's my thoughts and opinions on the matter. What do you think, Terrence?
I think there's probably a reason that this is happening more in baseball. It's because baseball is such a team game, and the dynamic of the team game in baseball is such that we can appreciate a once in a lifetime generational talent, right? That we have in Ohtani. I mean, the guy can pitch, the guy can hit, and just because the Angels are sorry, or at least they were sorry this year, we should ignore this once in a lifetime generational talent. I mean, he definitely made headlines. He definitely made Major League Baseball more interesting. He probably helped the Angels in the jersey sales category.
So, another thing I've always brought up is that, again, going back to the name of the award, most valuable player, as opposed to a player of the year award. It's two different things. Now, obviously,
Not to
MLB
be
doesn't. Now, go ahead. Go ahead.
not to be confused with a Player Hater of the Year award.
That goes to you every single year, buddy. But yeah, exactly. I'm sure you happily accept that, Silky Johnson. You, but but yeah, I believe there is a difference versus the most valuable player versus the player of the year.
What's
It's
the
kind of,
difference?
well, just that like that in the name. And my again, partially this in my opinion, player of the year. That's somebody the player I think who had the best year of any other player during that given season, 2021, which probably would have been Shohei Ohtani. I agree. He is the player of the year. I'll give him that. Most valuable, even with his skill behind at the plate and his skill on the mound, and he was good at both. Even that wasn't able to help the Angels even have a winning record. You know, and in baseball, also they have the most games played, and to have a winning record, all you got to do is win 82 games. That's it. I know it sounds like a lot, but guess what? You have 162 games to do it.
You're also making it seem like it's easy to do.
I didn't say it is, but that also goes into another point is that it is difficult, yes, but there are also other great players who had fantastic seasons, by the way, and their teams actually had a winning record. So, and that's another thing. It'd be one thing if everybody had like a crappy season, nothing really stand outish to say, okay, no one really had any other good seasons. Let's give it to Shohei Ohtani because he was the most valuable and he had the most valuable season. Well, that's not the case. There were several other good players, you know, that exemplified MVP, caliber seasons. Again, now one guy in particular, his team didn't make the playoffs. No, but they at least had a winning record. And I think that's the important part here. You can be a good team with a good record, and miss the playoffs. So that is what it is. You can't be a good team and have a losing record. That's not how it works. So that goes back to what I was saying: is take Shohei Ohtani off the Angels. Guess what? They still suck, just like they sucked with suck. Might be a strong word. They didn't have a poor season, but still losing record with him there. So how valuable can they be? Because if he wasn't there, still would have had a losing season.
I'm conflicted on this whole you got to have a winning record because I immediately think the Chicago Bears last year, and I'm like, yeah, just because they were 9-7 doesn't mean they were good.
Okay, exactly. That's also fair. That is very fair. 9-7 in the NFL on a 16-game schedule is very mediocre. But with that being said, was there anybody on the Bears that had an MVP caliber worthy season? No.
On the
I'll,
offensive side,
I'll answer the question for you. The answer is no.
I mean, maybe Allen Robinson, maybe.
The fact that you have to say maybe, then that's pretty much automatically a no.
Well, just because you say maybe doesn't mean that it. I mean, he was good enough to get the franchise money, so he was
That
obviously.
we know that don't mean nothing. We know that.
It means basically they they believe you are talented enough to get the money. They just don't want to pay it to you.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So we all know the franchise tag don't mean nothing. It just means they want to keep you on the team, but they don't want to pay you long term for what you want. But keep you around for 1 year at least and figure it out.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
yeah. I my thing is this. You so it seems like out of all leagues, Major League Baseball deserves to have two MVPs that were on teams that didn't make the playoffs because no no league makes a bigger deal out of stats that swear that they either matter or don't matter than baseball. So it's what you deserve. It's what you deserve. It's it is an individual award, and there's only one award for most valuable player, right? They don't do they don't do. It's not like the NFL where they try to do MVP and then they try to do offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, and that's not even the same because ultimately football is you have to be literally Reggie White game changing on the defensive end to beat out a quarterback nowadays. So the deck's already kind of stacked against you in a league like the NFL, and so it's just different. You only have two spots, right? So
So, so I will say this though, and I know we've been talking about the American League with Shohei Ohtani because I think that's kind of the more, for lack of a better word, controversial um, frame here. But just putting someone else out there who was a candidate to win the award, Vlad Guerrero Jr. Played for the Toronto Blue Jays, who were 91 and 71, so 20 games above 500, so 90-win team. So obviously they're pretty good. He had a phenomenal season. In some cases, better than Shohei Ohtani. He actually batted above 300, had 48 home runs, 100 plus RBIs, slugging 600, on base percentage above 4. And I had to pull up Shohei Ohtani's numbers. I believe a lot of those numbers are better than he had. And again, his team actually had a winning record, 20 games above 500. So I could say the case could be better made that he's more valuable to his team because they wouldn't be 20 games above 500 without him on the team. So now I don't know if it's because, like you said, Shohei Ohtani pitches. Maybe that's why he got the nod for the MVP. But again,
yeah,
I say, which is phenomenal. But again, I say, when it comes to this, so what?
well, you can so what it all you want because he got the title, didn't he?
Hey, not gonna, it can't take it away. Like we always say, like you said the other day, is he going to give the ring back? No, he's the MVP. The trophy's his. The 2021 MVP will be his. Can't take it away. And maybe he'll do it again next year. Maybe his team will be winning. I just still say, and no matter the sport, whether it be baseball, uh, hockey, football, whatever, basketball, the MVP should be from a team that actually was not even successful, that actually had a winning record. Because that to me is value. You were the best player on a winning team.
Yeah, but you're trying to align an individual achievement alongside team success when really they are almost like complementary things. I mean, one could definitely feed into the other,
Yeah,
right? Right. But I don't consider the absence of of team success to be um I uh, unless you felt like, oh, this guy is just doing this for stats. He's putting himself in a position to get more RBI, but not necessarily help the team win. Like unless you've got done that level of analytics, the way like people were trying to parse Russell Westbrook's all of his triple doubles, and you'd see people putting shit together on YouTube like the Zapruder film. Like, look at this guy purposely missing his shit or positioning himself to kind of run up the numbers for rebounds, for example. And unless you've got that level of analytics on a guy, I don't feel right penalizing someone just because the he can't play all nine fucking positions, man. you know, he already plays two positions. You want him to, you basically want him to play the other seven.
I don't want to play anything other than what he does. That's fine. But I'm just saying that when it comes to value, Yes. Yeah. Okay. Again, I obviously recognize that him being on the team makes the Angels record better than what it would be without him.
Oh, so you can at least acknowledge that.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I'm not disagreeing with that. I agree. But what I'm saying is, does that person or individual have more value than somebody else who had a better season than he did, and that individual's team actually had a winning record? Case in point, Vlad Guerrero. And I actually put up Shohei Ohtani's stats, and I was absolutely correct. Home runs, batting average, RBIs, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, all that. Vlad Guerrero Jr. had a better. All those stats were better than Shohei Ohtani's.
How
All of them.
many strikeouts did did Vlad ring up as pitcher?
Okay, great. Okay, great. And that's not okay. Exactly my point. So yeah, I agree with you. Shohei Ohtani, that's the other side he can do. He actually pitches, gets stats and wins and strikeouts and stuff like that from the pitching side of it. But even with that, even as good as he was on both positions, that still wasn't enough to propel his team to get a winning record. And matter of fact, while I'm looking this up, let me just confirm what the record actually was. So the Angels are 77 and 85. So again, not the worst, not by far, not even the worst record in the league.
What was the record?
The Angels were 77 and 85, so 8 games below 500. There were definitely worse teams in Major League Baseball than the Angels. So now I'm not putting it out there that the Angels were like the worst team in the world because they weren't. But just saying, even as great as Shohei Ohtani was, even pitching every 5 days, even that wasn't enough to get the Angels at least one game above 500. Not even one. So, um, again, player of the year, maybe. And even that, can't even. I don't know if I can even give him that because, again, I just gave you a guy whose stats are way better than Shohei Ohtani's for player of the year. So,
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna come to an agreement tonight. The guy was third. He was 9-2. He won 10 games. Imagine if he doesn't win 2 games. Almost 10 games. That's all I'm gonna say.
congrats to him.
Cheers to you, show. All right. That concludes our third and final segment regarding putting the V in MVP. Coming up next, we'll wrap up the show and not even acknowledging that, sir. And do our final shout outs for episode 32 on Cal Park Bros.